The sun had already dipped below the Andean horizon, casting a warm amber hue over the small Bolivian town of Tarija. A gentle breeze slipped through the open windows of the Morales family home, where the smell of roasted potatoes and quinoa still lingered in the air. Dona Mariela sat at the head of the table, her silver-streaked hair pinned back neatly. Her youngest grandson, Emiliano, sat beside her, noisily slurping his juice, while her son Tomas cleared the plates. Across from her sat Camila, her daughter-in-law, elegant in a modern blouse and sharp wit. The evening had been pleasant, with the kind of laughter that only comes when family pretends everything is perfect. And then, almost offhandedly, Camila said it. When the time comes, we'll just choose Mariela's nursing home based on the Wi-Fi speed. Right, Tomas? There was a beat of silence. A smile froze on Tomas's face. Emiliano didn't understand, and kept sipping. Mariela paused, her eyes still fixed gently on the half-empty glass of wine in front of her. She said nothing, only smiled. It was the kind of smile that left the room colder than before. Camila, oblivious to her tone, chuckled. "Oh, come on, Mama. I'm only joking. You know I adore you." But Mariela didn't respond. She merely dabbed her mouth with a cloth napkin, stood up slowly, and began stacking plates without a word. That night, as the house settled into quiet sleep, Mariela sat by the open window in her bedroom. Outside, the soft hum of crickets played their nighttime song. She gazed out into the garden she had built with her own hands 30 years ago, stone by stone, flower by flower. This house, every inch of it, was her life's work. And now, her worth had been reduced to internet speed. The memory of Camila's voice echoed in her mind. "We'll choose based on the Wi-Fi." She let out a deep breath, calm and steady. "Very well," she murmured into the night. "We shall see." The days following the dinner passed with a stillness that felt unnatural. Mariela no longer laughed at the breakfast table, nor offered her usual morning tea to Camila. Instead, she retreated to her garden, tending the marigolds with a quiet focus that unnerved everyone. Camila, initially brushing it off, began to feel the chills settle in. Tomas noticed too, the way his mother no longer touched his arm when she spoke or hummed while cooking. The warmth that defined their home was fading like mist. One afternoon, Mariela walked into the study with a thick brown envelope. She handed it to Tomas. "I've decided to prepare early," she said, her voice steady. "You'll find everything in here, my medical records, bank details, and a list of local care facilities. Feel free to compare Wi-Fi speeds." Tomas looked up shocked.
"Mama, no."
That's not what she meant. Mariela interrupted him gently. "It's fine, Mijo. I believe in preparing." That night, Camila sat alone in the patio, staring at the stars above Tarija's quiet hills. Something about Mariela's composure unsettled her. It wasn't bitterness.
It wasn't sorrow. It was strategy.
The neighbor, Dona Leticia, stopped waving when she passed. The fruit vendor no longer smiled at her stall. Even Emiliano's schoolteacher, usually chatty at pickup, was now brisk and curt. Word traveled fast in Tarija. Camila soon realized she was being watched, not openly, but with sideways glances and polite smiles that held questions underneath. Then came the note, folded neatly and slipped beneath her car windscreen. "Respect built this house. You joke, but others remember." Camila's fingers trembled as she read it. The note was unsigned. That evening, she walked into the living room where Mariela sat knitting beside the fire. "Mama, have you been talking about me to the neighbors?" Mariela didn't look up. "I don't need to speak. This house remembers everything. So do they." Camila clenched her jaw. It was a joke. People laugh. Mariela's needles paused. "Then laugh, Camila." She stood and walked away, her footsteps soft, but somehow thunderous. 3 weeks later, a man in a dark gray suit arrived at the Morales home. His name was Señor Villegas, a notary from Potosi. He came bearing a briefcase and a gentle smile. "I'm here on Dona Mariela's instruction. We're to update her will." Camila overheard this from the hallway. Her heart skipped. "Will? What will?" She tiptoed closer. Inside, Mariella sat across from the lawyer, calm and composed. "I want the house transferred into a trust," she said. "Effective immediately. Managed under my terms." Senor Villegas nodded. "Shall we discuss your conditions?" Camila's blood ran cold. That house, their house. The next morning, Tomas confronted his mother. "Are you cutting us out?" Mariella looked him straight in the eye.
No.
"I'm preserving dignity. Something your wife casually threatened to disregard." Tomas faltered. "She didn't mean it. She regrets it." Mariella raised an eyebrow. "Regret needs to be proven." Tarija came alive with drums and dancers. The festival of San Roque filled the streets with colors and music. But inside the Morales home, tensions simmered quietly. Camila tried to fix things. She invited Mariella to join her for the parade, offered to help cook the tamales, even made her favorite cinnamon tea. Mariella accepted everything with grace, but never warmth. During the parade, Mariella walked slowly, arm in arm with Dona Leticia. They looked regal, like two matriarchs surveying a kingdom. The townspeople greeted Mariella with reverence. Camila followed at a distance, clutching Emiliano's hand. She could feel the gap widening. Then, without warning, Mariella stopped. She turned to Camila and smiled. For the first time in weeks. "You know, Camila, you're very pretty when you look nervous." Camila swallowed. "I'm not nervous." Mariella chuckled softly. "You should be." And then she walked on. Late one evening, while searching for Emiliano's missing drawing pad, Camila opened the drawer in the guest bedroom where Mariella kept her old books. Beneath a stack of photo albums, she found a journal. Leather-bound.
Worn.
She hesitated, then opened it. The first page read, "For when they forget who I am." Camila sat on the edge of the bed, turning page after page. She read about Mariella's youth. Her first job as a teacher in Sucre. Her struggle raising Tomas after her husband's sudden death. Building the house brick by brick with her own hands. Skipping meals so Tomas could go to school. Nights spent sewing by candlelight. Camila felt her chest tighten. She had reduced all of that to Wi-Fi. She closed the journal slowly, her hands trembling. But it was too late. Mariella already knew she'd found it. Just after dusk, a car pulled up outside the Morales home. From it stepped a tall woman with streaks of silver in her long hair, dressed in a tailored suit and dusty boots. Mariella opened the door before she even knocked. "Bienvenida, Isabel." Camila watched from the stairs. Isabel was Mariella's cousin, a retired judge, known across the South for her fierce integrity and sharper tongue. They spoke for hours. The next morning, the house dynamic changed. Isabel stayed on as a guest, but more like an advisor. She asked difficult questions at the breakfast table. She quoted Bolivian inheritance law over soup. And she looked at Camila as if measuring something invisible. Then she said something that changed everything. "If this family cannot protect its matriarch with honor, then the law must." Mariella nodded silently. Camila felt the walls press inward. The garden had always been Mariella's sanctuary. Now it became her stage. Every afternoon, she invited one neighbor at a time to walk with her through the marigolds and jasmine. They spoke softly, but often. They left with red eyes or thoughtful frowns. Camila realized something. Mariella was telling her story. Not loudly, but precisely.
Piece by piece.
By the end of the week, whispers turned to sympathy. Strangers offered to help Mariella shop. Old friends sent handwritten letters. Camila, meanwhile, felt the social ground beneath her erode. Then one morning, a gardener arrived at the house, hired by Mariella. He removed the small cactus Camila had planted 2 years earlier. "No sharp things," Mariella said gently. "They don't belong here." On a quiet Saturday, Mariella invited Camila to sit with her. She offered her a small cup of coffee, carefully brewed, just the way she liked it. "I've made a decision," Mariella said softly. "I'll be moving into the guest cottage behind the vineyard. You may stay here, but only under one condition." Camila nodded, uncertain. "You'll sleep in the upstairs room, the one with no Wi-Fi signal."
Camila stared, stunned.
You're joking. Mariella smiled. Now who's joking, Camila? That night, Camila lay awake, surrounded by silence. No scrolling. No Netflix. No messages. Just the quiet hum of consequence. In the dark, she finally understood what Mariella had built. And what she had nearly lost. 1 week later, Camila found a sealed envelope on her bedside table. Her name was written in looping script. Inside was a letter. Handwritten. Heavy with memory. I built this house with my hands. But I raised it with love. I never needed a fast connection. I needed connection. Full stop. The kind you feel when a child laughs, or a neighbor brings bread, or a family shares silence, without cruelty. Camila read it 3 times. At dawn, she walked to the cottage behind the vineyard. She didn't knock. She sat on the porch, waiting for Mariella to open the door. And when it finally creaked open, Camila stood and said just one thing. I remember now.